friends, today we are finally going to make our belt bookmark. For this session, what you need is your piece of felt. Make sure that you get the good felt. It shouldn't stretch. If it stretches, switch it out. This needs to be about 11 inches by 3 inches or 27 centimeters by 7 centimeters. You also need a good strong hair elastic, a pretty big button, some chalk, thread, and some pins or needles. All right, friends, let's get started. All right, friends, we are ready to make our bookmark. I'm gonna really quickly review some of the skills we've already touched on, but if you think you need more help on threading your needle or working with pins, go back to my super basics of sewing video. Okay, so first thing you're gonna do is thread your needle. Remember, cut the end if you need to, thread the thread through the eye of the needle. Whoops. Try again if it doesn't work the first time. Pull, so you've got 2 lengths of thread about the length of your arm. You're gonna cut. You're gonna make your knot by holding the end, wrapping it gently around your fingers 3 times, rolling, rolling, rolling. Roll off the end till you have your little wreath thing. Slide your fingers down until it makes that knot that kind of looks like a fly. Then you're gonna put it in your pin cushion because we don't leave it on the table, and that's ready. The next thing we're going to do is take our strip of felt and we're gonna use our chalk to just mark the corners that we're gonna cut off here. We use chalk because it brushes off of fabric really easily. If you don't have chalk, you can use a pencil or a marker. Just be very, very careful because those might not come off. And what we're gonna do is just take 1 centimeter or 2 off the corners, just like this. I'm just gonna chop it on the line that I marked, and I'll put those away. Now you're gonna take your hair elastic and put it on that new sort of angled end. You're going to fold this end over the elastic just like this. And now we're going to use our straight pins. So you have options here. You can pin them perpendicular like this, might be kind of tough, or you can do one sort of parallel to the end. Remember, when you're using a straight pin, you're gonna poke it all the way through to the back, lay it flat against the back of the fabric, and then poke it through again. On this side, you should see the head of the pin and the pointy tip, and then here you should just see a little bit of the shaft. You wanna make sure that you have pinned just below where the elastic is. You can kind of feel that. All right, so I'm ready to start sewing. Like we did in the other video, you can start in between your 2 layers of fabric to hide that knot. Oh, my knot's not big enough. If that happens, make another knot. Okay. You can start in between your 2 layers of fabric, so you hide that knot inside. Just poke it in with your finger. Now, when you're sewing, you want to sew just below where that elastic is. I know you can't see it, but you can feel it. You don't want to sew through your elastic. And these stitches are going to be visible, so you want to make sure that they're super neat. Remember, you want to go just a couple millimeters over to make nice little stitches. And make sure you're always looking, where does my thread go out? That's the same side you want to go back in. If you run into a problem and you get a little loop, go back to my basics of sewing video and I'll show you how to fix that. So you're gonna go all the way across. I'm gonna go really fast so I can show you, but you're gonna make really nice, neat stitches. Because if your stitches are too big, it's not gonna be a very strong bookmark. Once you sort of sewn across, you can take this out if you want. Now remember, we're gonna finish off by sewing 3 little stitches through both layers of fabric, putting your needle through the loop to make a knot, and you're doing this 3 times. All right, when that's done, you're gonna trim, put your needle back in, and you're ready for the next step. All right, so at this point, most students have to rethread their needle. If you've only got a tiny little bit of thread left, put a new length on. It's gonna make things easier. So I'm gonna remind you how our bookmark works. You've got your elastic through here, and it's gonna be held on by this button. What you wanna make sure when you're doing this part is that you have the right and wrong sides. The right side is the good side, the side that you see, and the wrong side is sort of the bad side where you hide all of your messes. So when you've got your bookmark like this is the wrong side because you can see the raw edge of the fabric, and over here you can see the knot for our thread, or for our button, and it comes like this. So when you're figuring out where to place your button, you want to make sure that it's on the right side. So you flip it over to see the good side, and your button is going to go right in the middle right here. Now you can't really pin a button, so you just have to hold it with your bad hand. This is how you sew a button. You're going to start on the bad side, on the wrong side, and you're going to poke your needle through one of these holes. If your button has whoops, see, my knot's not big enough. If your button has 4 holes, you have options. You can make your thread go through to look like an equal sign, or you can make it look like an X. That's up to you. So you're gonna poke through one of these holes. Sometimes you have to sort of poke a couple times before you get through the hole. That's okay. I'd like to make mine look like an X. So I've started on the top right hole. I'm gonna go through the bottom left. And I'm gonna pull this so it's nice and tight. Like my running stitch, I'm gonna flip it over, and I'm gonna go in again, and I'm gonna poke until I get to that top right hole. It's kind of hard to see with this dark button. And I'm gonna pull it tight every time. And I'm gonna do this at least 3 times. Actually, I'm gonna do this 5 times. These can go under a bit of strain with the elastic. All right, so I've gone through that way. Now I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna poke up through my bottom right hole. See, didn't go through the right one. Try again, there we go. And in. If your button only has 2 holes, you don't really have any options. So got a little loop here. Oops, wrong hole. All right, here we go. Keep grabbing that loop by accident. This is why you need to slow down and take your time sometimes. All right, I've gone through both ways 4 or 5 times. This feels pretty strong. I'm gonna flip it over. We've got a bit of a mess, but that's okay. That's what buttons look like. Now, to finish off, we're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna do 1 little stitch. I went in and then I came back out again, and I'm gonna pull. But before I pull all the way through, I'm gonna put my needle through my loop to make a knot, and I'm gonna do this 3 times. Find my 2 loops. That's 2. And that is 3. Trim this as close as you can to the fabric without cutting anything important. Stick your needle in the pin cushion, and voila, you're done. All right, so now you get to test your bookmark out in your book. Put it at your spot, flip up your button, flip down your elastic, string it over. Sometimes if your elastic's really tight and your book is kind of floppy, it might bend a bit. If that's the case, you can just keep it in like that. There you go. Happy reading, friends.